In the quiet, dust-covered outskirts of Willow Creek, a small western town where gossip traveled faster than the wind, a young woman named Ilara lived with the weight of the world pressing against her ribs. She stood outside the old barn she'd been hiding in for 3 weeks, her hands resting protectively on her swollen belly, her breath slow and shaky as the morning sun painted gold across the dry earth. Willow Creek was a town that remembered everything and forgave nothing, a place where a woman who carried a child without a husband was judged harsher than any outlaw. Ilara had once been the pride of the community, gentle, graceful, beloved for her kindness, until the man she trusted disappeared without a trace, leaving her with nothing but a child growing within her and a heart full of fear. Ever since, she avoided the streets, the church steps, the general store. She avoided the whispers that stabbed like needles, and the eyes that dissected her like she was some ugly thing. That morning, as she leaned back against the barn wall and tried to steady her thoughts, hoofbeats approached from behind the hill, low and rhythmic like the heartbeat of the land itself. Ilara stiffened, her muscles tightening around her belly. She had learned to fear every stranger, every step, every shadow, because she had no one now, no family, no friends brave enough to be seen at her side. But out from the dust rode a tall figure, in a brown leather vest and a wide-brimmed hat, the kind of man Willow Creek respected, feared, and whispered stories about. His name was Colt Maverick, a rancher known more for his silence than his words, a man carved from wind, sun, and stubborn honor. He slowed his horse when he saw her, his sharp hazel eyes softening with something almost like concern. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said, his voice low and steady, like a river that had never lost its path. Ilara tried to straighten, hiding the vulnerability in her posture, but there was no hiding her rounded belly now. "I'm fine," she whispered, though she clearly wasn't, her face pale, her breath uneven, her eyes full of shame she didn't deserve. Colt dismounted and approached slowly, as if he were walking toward a frightened fawn. "Heard folks talking," he said quietly. "Heard about what they're saying." "They're wrong, Ilara." She looked away, cheeks burning with humiliation. "They don't care if they're wrong," she murmured. "They just want someone to judge." Colt exhaled, his jaw tightening. He had seen cruelty in men, but when cruelty hid behind righteousness, it cut deeper. "Ilara," he said gently, "no one should face this alone." She blinked hard, tears threatening, because no one had said words like that to her in months. But fear pushed her back. "Why are you here, Colt? What do you want?" Instead of answering, he stepped forward and slowly lifted his hand, waiting, giving her time before placing it softly against the curve of her stomach. The warmth of his touch spread through her like sunlight. "I want you to know," he said, eyes meeting hers, "that you're not something to be ashamed of. That child isn't something to hide. And you," his voice deepened with quiet strength, "you deserve to stand tall." Ilara's heart clenched, a mix of hope and terror. "The town will talk if they see you with me," she whispered. "Let them," Colt said. "They talk anyway. Might as well give them something true to talk about." A shaky laugh escaped her, the first hint of light she'd felt in ages, but behind it she trembled. "I don't want to ruin your name," she said. Colt shook his head, stepping closer. "Darlin', a name is only worth something if you use it to protect someone. Who needs it?" She swallowed, overwhelmed. Colt Maverick was offering her something she had not felt in so long, solid ground beneath her feet. The wind rustled her hair, carrying the sounds of distant town chatter far away, and for the first time, Ilara realized she didn't want to hide forever. "But I'm scared," she confessed. "Then let me be scared with you," Colt replied. "You don't have to stand alone anymore." He extended his arm. Ilara stared at it, at the strength in his shoulders, the kindness etched in his expression, and the certainty she so desperately needed. Finally, with trembling fingers, she placed her hand into his. Colt squeezed gently, reassuringly, and helped her toward his horse. "Come on," he said softly. "If the town's gonna judge, they'll judge while you're standing beside someone who won't let you fall." And as Ilara took the first step toward Willow Creek again, a step she had feared for so long, she felt a strange and powerful truth rising in her. Maybe judgment didn't hold power over someone who had someone willing to stand with them. And Colt Maverick, with the sun catching the side of his hat and the strength of mountains in his stance, seemed exactly like that someone. The sun hovered low in the sky as Colt and Alara arrived in Willow Creek, walking side by side down the dusty road that had once felt like a battlefield to her. People slowed, stared, whispered, some with surprise, others with disdain, others still with curiosity prickling in their eyes like cactus needles. Alara's heart thudded painfully, each step echoing her deepest fears. Colt stayed close, one hand steady at her back, the other resting casually near his belt, as if daring anyone to speak against her. He didn't threaten with words. He threatened with unwavering presence. The general store's owner, Mrs. Whitlock, lifted her chin sharply when she saw them. "I suppose propriety means nothing now," she muttered loudly. Alara winced, her grip tightening on the folds of her dress, but Colt turned his gaze toward the woman, calm but sharp as a hawk's. "Propriety?" he asked. "Funny word for a town that forgets kindness," Mrs. Whitlock faltered. Surprised, but Colt didn't wait for her reply. He guided Alara forward, and she found herself breathing again. A few steps later, past her,